You notice it first at the gas station, that quiet digital click as the numbers climb. You tell yourself it's fine, it's just fuel, you don't drive that much anyway. You pay and you leave and you forget about it, until 2 weeks later when you're standing in the grocery store staring at a loaf of bread that costs $1 more than it did last month, or the coffee you buy every morning, or the takeout dinner that somehow crept up by $3 without warning. And you feel it then, that slow, confusing squeeze, like someone turned a dial you can't see. This looks like inflation, but it's actually something quieter, something hidden inside almost everything you touch. The question is not whether prices are rising. The question is why your brain keeps getting surprised by it. Let me stop you right there. You are not bad with money for feeling blindsided. You are not naive for not connecting the gas station to the grocery store. Your brain is trying to protect you from a kind of financial chaos that most people never learn to see. In that protection, that instinct to treat each price increase as a separate random event is not a flaw, it is a survival mechanism. Because if you actually felt the full weight of how one number changes everything, you might never stop worrying. Your mind does something smart. It isolates each expense. It tells you the bread is expensive, the coffee is expensive, the delivery fee is expensive. But it does not ask you to hold all of those threads at once. That would be exhausting. That would be unbearable. So you don't, and that is completely understandable. But here is what is actually happening, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The first reason oil changes everything is that oil moves things, and everything you buy, absolutely everything, has been moved. The vegetables in your refrigerator traveled hundreds of miles on trucks that burn diesel. The shirt you ordered arrived on a container ship, then a train, then another truck. The package on your doorstep was handled by 4 different vehicles before it ever touched your hands. Each of those vehicles runs on fuel. When oil prices rise, the cost of moving a single tomato from a farm to a store shelf does not rise a little, it rises at every single step. The farm pays more to run its tractors, the distributor pays more to run its warehouse equipment, the trucking company pays more for each mile, and every single one of those businesses does the same thing. They add a little to your price, not because they're greedy, because they have to. And by the time that tomato lands in your cart, 5 or 6 different fuel surcharges have been buried inside it. You do not see them. You just see a tomato that costs more than it should. Think about the last time you ordered something online and saw a delivery fee that made you hesitate. That fee is fuel. Or the last time you bought a bottle of water at an airport. That bottle was shipped twice, once to the airport, once to the store inside the airport. Each shipment paid the fuel tax, each handler paid the diesel price, and you paid all of it. Not because water became rare, because movement became expensive, and your brain, trying to be kind, told you that airport prices are always high. It did not ask you to trace the chain. It protected you from the complexity, and that protection once helped you survive a world where prices were simpler, but now it leaves you confused because the chain is longer than ever. The second reason is that oil is not just fuel, it is plastic, it is packaging, it is the invisible skeleton of modern shopping. Every time you buy something wrapped in plastic, sealed in plastic, or shipped in plastic, you are buying oil. The clamshell container around your berries, the shrink wrap around your water bottles, the bag inside your cereal box, the foam tray under your chicken, all of it comes from crude oil. When oil prices spike, the cost of making a yogurt cup doubles, the cost of a shampoo bottle triples, the cost of the plastic handle on your toothbrush goes up by pennies, but pennies across millions of products become dollars. And those dollars land on you not as a single line item, as 100 tiny increases you will never track. Your brain was never designed to notice that your trash bags cost more because a refinery in another country had a bad week, so it does not try. It just feels tired. It just feels like everything is getting expensive for no reason. But there is a reason. It's just hiding inside the walls of your own purchases. Here is a quiet example. Think about the last time you bought a bottle of cooking oil.
Olive oil, vegetable oil, coconut oil. The price probably surprised you, and you might have thought it was a bad harvest or a supply chain issue. But cooking oil is not just food, it is also fuel. The same refineries that make gasoline make cooking oil. The same global markets that price crude oil price palm oil and soybean oil. So when crude oil goes up, everything made in a refinery goes up. Gasoline, plastic, fertilizer, cooking oil. Your brain sees these as separate categories. The market does not. And that disconnect, that gap between how you organize money and how the world actually works, is where the confusion lives. You are not failing to understand economics. You are failing to see that the economy does not respect your mental filing system. It never has. But here's the part most people miss. The real weight of oil prices is not in what you buy today. It is in what you will buy tomorrow. Because oil is also in the production of almost everything that cannot move. The fertilizer that grows your wheat comes from natural gas. The asphalt under your tires comes from crude oil. The synthetic rubber in your shoes comes from petroleum. The ink on your receipts, the wax on your apples, the dye in your clothes. Oil is not a product you buy. It is a language the economy speaks. And when that language changes, everything you hear changes with it. The coffee you drink tomorrow morning was fertilized with oil-based products, roasted in oil-powered machines, shipped in oil-burning trucks, ground in oil-lubricated grinders, served in an oil-based paper cup, and handed to you by someone who drove to work on oil. You are not paying for coffee. You are paying for a chain of oil that stretches back months and across continents. And your brain, trying to make sense of a $4 cup of coffee, cannot hold that chain. So it gives up. It tells you coffee is just expensive now. And that story, that small, manageable story, is the only reason you are not paralyzed. The third reason is that businesses do not absorb these costs. They pass them forward. And they pass them forward in a way that feels random, but is actually predictable. A trucking company does not raise your delivery fee the day oil goes up. They wait, they watch, they calculate, and then they raise it once with more than they need to cover the next 3 months. A grocery store does not raise the price of bread the week wheat gets more expensive. They raise it when they order the next shipment, and they raise it enough to cover the uncertainty. By the time you feel an oil price increase, the original event is already old news. You are paying for last month's oil today, and next month you will pay for this month's. There is always a delay. And that delay creates the illusion that prices are rising randomly for no reason, out of nowhere. But they are not random, they are just late. And your brain, which evolved to understand cause and effect in seconds, not months, cannot track that lag. So it feels like chaos, even when it isn't. The person who understands this is not the person who saves money by driving less. The person who understands this is the person who stops being surprised. Because surprise is the real tax. Every time you stand in a store and feel that little jolt of unfairness, your brain spends energy trying to solve a puzzle that cannot be solved. It searches for blame. It searches for patterns. It searches for someone to be angry at. And that search is expensive. It drains you. It makes you feel powerless. But the moment you see the hidden chain, the moment you understand that oil is not one expense among many, but the foundation beneath almost every expense, the surprise dissolves. Not the price, the confusion. And that is not nothing. That is everything. Over time, your relationship with this changes. When you are younger, you feel each price increase as a personal failure. You think you should have budgeted better. You think you should have noticed sooner. But as you get older, as you pay for more things, as you watch the same pattern repeat through different jobs in different apartments and different economic cycles, you start to see the truth. This was never about you. The price of bread was never a test of your discipline. The cost of delivery was never a judgment on your spending. It was oil. It was always oil. And that realization doesn't fix anything, but it removes the shame. And sometimes, that's the only thing that needs to be fixed. The behavior of noticing price increases, of feeling that sting, of trying to trace where your money went, is not a weakness. It is an anchor. It is your brain's way of staying oriented in a world that is constantly shifting beneath your feet. That little flash of frustration when milk costs more than it did last week is not you being cheap, it is you being awake. It is you paying attention, and that attention, even when it cannot solve the problem, is the only thing that keeps you floating away from numbness. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself wonder. Let yourself be confused. That confusion is not a bug. It is a sign that you are still trying to understand. And trying to understand, even when the answer is as simple and as frustrating as a barrel of oil, is the most human thing you can do with your money.